Hello and welcome to our second video. The title of this video is The Keynotes of Eastern Medicine, a bit about its perspective and its philosophy. Eastern medicine is a big topic, and today we might begin by addressing the underlying meaning of these two words, Eastern and medicine. When I say Eastern medicine, I'm really referring to a perspective or a philosophy that grew and matured in the East over the past several thousand years. This holistic and naturalistic perspective regarding life, health, wellness, and spirituality is expressed as a unified and coherent principle pervasive throughout all the countries of the East, including India, China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Nepal, Tibet, Burma, Bhutan, Thailand, and several others. This essential principle remains the same in all of these regions, though it matured and expressed itself with subtle variations in each of these cultures in reference to the needs and dispositions of these regions and the people that inhabit them. So, what does Eastern medicine really mean? Well, to me, the Eastern perspective has some profound differences from the commonly held view here in the West. Most prominently, we might summarize this difference in two prominent representative symbols of the East and West, respectively. That of yin and yang, referring to the East, and of dichotomy for the West. And I'll just share my screen here for a second so that you can see here on the left, we have the representative symbol of the East referring to yin and yang. And on the right, we have the representative symbol of the West referring to dichotomy. So I'm going to leave these up for a second while we talk about them. Dichotomy is often defined as any splitting of a whole into two exactly non-overlapping parts. In other words, it's a bipartition of elements which are seen as being mutually exclusive to one another. Nothing can belong simultaneously to both parts, and everything must belong to one part or the other. The influence of this concept, dichotomy, can be seen in the West in its mathematics, philosophy, linguistics, theology, and certainly its model of medicine, as well as its view of health and what being healthy implies. Basically, dichotomy is the belief that human beings, and indeed the entirety of the world, are distinct and separate from each other. Inside the human body, this worldview is expressed as each of the perceived parts are named, characterized, and are discussed as if they could function autonomously as separate units of a distinct machine. In regard to dichotomy, we might consider the following inquiry. Do we believe that we have fingers, or that we have toes or legs? Do we believe that we have a brain, or eyes, or nose? From the view of dichotomy, these names seem to reflect some truth about our physical reality. But were we to actually possess these things, we would be able to remove them from our bodies, and placing them autonomously away from us, they would continue to live and breathe and have their beingness apart from the rest of the organism. But they don't. If we remove one of our eyes and put it on the table, it will rot and die. If we were to cut off one of our digits, it would not crawl around on the table and go off to live its own separate life. This would be the case for all the various parts of our physical makeup. Indeed, the names that we use to characterize the various aspects and regions of our physicality are simply geographical associations used to identify the region that we're speaking of. The use of dichotomy can serve to momentarily illuminate an aspect of the whole. It can allow for a focused study, in-depth examination of some aspect of the whole. But for what purpose? Are we using dichotomy to further our understanding of the whole, or are we using dichotomy in an attempt to elaborate on the illusion of separation? It may be perfectly appropriate for a surgeon to focus neatly and clearly on how the parts fit together. But if we go too far, we lose sight of the fact that there's just a wholeness, layered, interactive, interconnected, and mutually dependent. In the East, our bodies are seen as an inseparable wholeness, like a text full of metaphors. To understand the meaning of one of the words in the text, we have to know all the other words and phrases related to it. Additionally, we can never understand the meaning of the text by looking at the letters in one of its words. In the yin-yang diagram, the world is seen as having two facets, one yin aspect and one yang aspect, one negative and one positive, one feminine and one masculine, one dark and one light. Each aspect contains the seed of the other. They co-create, engender, control, counterbalance, and transform into and from each other. This view sees the world in terms of interactive holograms, fractals of information, expressive and interconnected, micro to macro, form to spirit. This view sees unity, expressing itself diversely, and diversity realizing itself as a unity. In this view, balance and harmony is the only goal. Clarity regarding our own propensity and disposition can be helpful in choosing our approach to how we might navigate our day-to-day health and wellness. Many of us are more and more aware of a generalized dissatisfaction increasingly common in our modern Western healthcare settings and interactions. Western medicine, using dichotomy, provides an important perspective to navigate the emergencies that arise in our daily lives, but it lacks the perspective, the training, and the tool set to effectively navigate qualitative, interactive health events, as these require access to a view of how the system is built to interact with itself, how all the layers dynamically represent each other, inform each other, control each other, etc. For this, the Eastern perspective has much more value. Both have their place, and when applied in the right circumstance, can serve to ensure the sustainability of our physical landscapes and the integrity of our group interactions, both in our bodies and in our communities. We invite you to come and visit with us regarding your health and wellness. This is especially the case if you've been having trouble with a difficult issue and haven't found resolution. We're specialists in hard-to-treat and difficult cases and can often, in just a few visits, hone in on the roots of the problem and come up with a treatment plan to move your system back towards balance and harmony. Bye for now.